Good morning, Knicks Nation. Today is Friday, the 27th day of March, 2026. I hope you're all safe and healthy today. Hope your family is safe and healthy and that the needs of you and your family in terms of food, shelter, clothing, as well as health are being met today. Blessings upon those that work in the area of health who work with first responders every day, often saving other lives at the expense of their own. Those also that pick up garbage, keep our towns and cities clean, those that make deliveries for our convenience, and double blessings on the men and women trying to help rescue, recover, and deliver teenagers and children, victims of child molestation and pedophilia. The people out here trying to help deliver and recover victims of prostitution, child prostitution, pornography, child pornography, human trafficking, and sex slavery. Double curses on the perpetrators, the profiteers, and the perverts that create the demands that cause these evil industries to exist. Finally, double blessings on the homeless. More than 700,000 men, women, children, families, senior citizens, military veterans, homeless in the United States of America. Blessings upon them, for theirs is the kingdom. There was a basketball game last night in Charlotte, North Carolina, in the Hive. New York Knicks lose to the Charlotte Hornets 114-103. There is a issue that I keep bringing up, and I know it will never go away, but my goal is for even one person or two persons to wake up and not be victim to it. That is the blame game. So when the Knicks lose a game, there is a contingent of fans that are looking to blame somebody. And what the problem with that is, there's usually no blame. But the blame game is led by the media because blame creates emotions that creates clicks. It's another clickbait opportunity. And then people start to blame, and pretty soon they're looking to see who can we trade and who can we trade for when neither are necessary. So last night, case in point, I've said many times that Jalen Brunson has a habit of holding the ball too long, stopping the ball movement, and then creating a decline in the whole offensive output, which also bleeds into the defensive output. And Jalen Brunson is the MVP of the Knicks, is the head of the snake, is the leader, and this would cause a problem for the team. So everybody's looking to blame Brunson. I even had one fool talking about trade him. Anyway, let's go into this a little bit with last night's loss. Now, if you recall, yesterday I was really strongly warning y'all that this was going to be a tough game. That this Charlotte Hornets team is the hottest team in the league right now, and they figured out how to play. But I also have said many times that when you see the Knicks fall into, like Brunson defaults to hero ball, or you see Cat not involved, it's a function of energy. And you never know when there's going to be a lack of energy in the 82-game schedule. Last night was case in point. Let me give you one stat that will 100% chance show you when there's a lack of energy. When the Knicks get beat on the boards, and especially if they get beat badly on the boards, that's not because they're a poor rebounding team, because one of the top rebounding teams in the NBA. It's lack of energy, particularly when you see them get beat with a Mitchell Robinson on their team in the offensive glass, 12-5. That's a lack of energy, okay? And pretty much most of those 5 offensive rebounds was Mitch Rob because they didn't have the energy. When you see them get beat on the glass, especially offensive glass, and then secondly, when you see them lose 50-50 balls, which are, those two stats are very much related. How many 50-50 balls you get, and Mike Brown counts that, they count that, and the glass. That is a function of energy. It's not a function of boxing out. Matter of fact, speaking of boxing out, if you saw the last few Knicks games, they've been boxing out like, if you want an example of how to properly box out, watch the last couple of wins in this 7-game streak the Knicks, because one of the perfect examples when you're boxing out perfectly is the ball will hit the ground before you rebound it. That means everybody's got their man sealed off, the ball hits the ground, and then one of the Knicks pick it up. That's perfect boxing out. They've been doing that. So it's not that. It's a lack of energy to do that. Okay? And so some people will say to me, oh, that's just an excuse. That's cliche stupidness, and you're not paying attention, and neither are you trying to analyze the game properly. As I will say, I do. The Knicks were lacking energy yesterday. Now, with respect to Brunson, Whenever they lack energy, he defaults to hero ball because his whole career, he has won games, including with the Knicks, when he takes over. There have been games when he takes over and the Knicks could cruise that night because Brunson is on one. Okay, it happens. Well, that's why you want a Brunson. That's why you want a Cat. It's not every night, but there will be a night in there every season there is when one of those guys will say, okay, y'all can take the night off. Nobody out here going to stop me today, and I'm going to be all over the floor. That happens, okay? When we had Juju, that happened. With all our problem child issues we had with Julius Randle, there were nights where he would just decide, I'm hitting all my threes, I'm rebounding every basketball, I'm taking everybody over tonight, y'all can have the night off. It does happen 3 or 4 times a season with a superstar, okay? A Shai Gilgeous, a Kawhi Leonard. That's why those guys who are what they are. But with respect to Jalen Brunson, it does happen 3 or 4 times a season, and it happens almost every fourth quarter, as it did Tuesday night against New Orleans. You can't stop him in the fourth quarter. And then last night, he started rolling in the fourth quarter again. And they started to get close, but then the lack of energy caused them to miss assignments on the defensive end, and Knuppel is a tremendous shooter. See, it's commonsensical, right? Like, you see a guy like Knuppel. He's a rookie, but he's probably going to be the rookie of the year. Boy, don't miss no open threes. He just don't. You can't, and you can even get on him a little bit, and he's still going to splash it. That's a rookie doing that. That's very rare you see a rookie at that level of shooter. It really is. It's not usually a rookie needs a season at least to get used to the speed of the NBA game and start getting their mess up. I mean, like Devin Booker in his rookie year, he was, you could just see the picture perfect jump shot was there, and he just needed time to get used to the NBA speed. Ray Allen, too. Ray Allen became known as a high-level three-point shooter when he came to the Celtics. When he was in the Bucks organization and the Seattle Supersonics organization, he was an athletic freak that could just take you to the hole and flush it on you. But then when he came to Boston, he became the three-point specialist. Now, he could always shoot, but the problem was he had to get used to the NBA speed on the jump shot. It takes time. Like Houston got a guy, Reed Shepherd, same thing. He just needs time to get used to the speed of the NBA game. But Knuppel is a rarity in his rookie season, coming out shooting the lights out from day one. So you had that, and now when you're lacking energy and you don't get to a shooter like that, now common sense, even the announcer, I'm listening to the announcers on NBA TV, and they're like, listen, the Knicks have to mark Knuppel as the guy, the guard, right? And they were right, and the Knicks know it, but the energy wasn't there to get it done. Now, it doesn't take the whole team to not have energy. Just some key guys in your rotation, okay? So, like OG was on point last night. Okay? Karl Anthony Towns didn't have the energy, though. And it didn't help that they weren't really looking for him in the first half. It didn't help. Jalen Brunson was going off ball to start the game. He was scoring a lot, but it was all catch and shoot and catch and drive. It was good. But they weren't getting Cat the ball. A couple of times they did, and he was picking apart the defense like he does. But he did not have the energy. And then, of course, the big headline today was Cat was benched. That's the headlines that lead to, blame game. Cat just didn't have energy. You got to expect that to happen sometimes. Now, they play Oklahoma City on Sunday. They could have energy Sunday. What will help with that, though, is the infusion of more talent, which represented in one Landry Shamet, which is expected to be back Sunday. Last night, now, Alvarado, Grand Theft wasn't Grand Theft last night. He was having trouble starting the offense. He was having trouble. He would get into the lane and miss floaters. That's lack of energy. Okay, it just happens. You add that to the Charlotte team that's, like I told y'all yesterday, the key guy that helped turn around that team was not Diawara. No, it's Diabate. We got Diawara. Musa Diabate, man. Last night, he only had 2 points. He only had 5 rebounds, but he had 4 steals, number one, and number two, plus 15. Why? Because he was locking everybody up. He had the energy. He was getting the 50-50 balls. Diabate, like I said, he was acting like he was Dennis Rodman last night, okay? And that's what the difference was. If the Knicks were to play Charlotte in a 7-game series, they probably win 4-1. But this is not that time yet. And that's why some of y'all are worried about the playoffs. Like, I'm worried that Jalen Brunson's going to do this in playoffs because you used to blaming him. And I get it. But the playoffs are not an 82-game schedule. See, the Knicks were in New York on Tuesday. They're in Charlotte tonight. They're in Oklahoma City tomorrow. You don't do that in the playoffs. In the playoffs, you stay in one city for 2 or 3 nights. And you only focusing on one team. That's why it's a different animal, the playoffs. Okay? So don't expect the lack of energy to go into the playoffs. And not only that, what's big for the Knicks going into the playoffs is now you're going to get back your Landry Shamet and you're going to get back a lot of energy in Deuce McBride. That's going to help a lot. Okay? So Deuce is expected to be back by April 1st. April 1st is next week, y'all. April 1st is next week. I wouldn't be surprised if homie's not chomping at the bit to come back on Sunday, the 29th, against Oklahoma City. He would be. I don't know what they're going to do with him, if they're going to let him play or they're going to wait until, the Wednesday game. I don't know. But because the Wednesday game's the second night of a back-to-back in Memphis. But they might do it then. But Deuce wants to play now. I'm going to tell you that right now. Deuce wants to play now. Okay? He don't want to wait no more. But the medical staff and Deuce and the coaching staff have to agree when homie comes back. But my point to y'all is the energy problem will not be a factor when they come to the playoffs. It won't be, okay? So therefore, they can play their game, and when they do, we know how good our team is when they're playing Knicks basketball. So they're going to be a force to be reckoned with. But Charlotte is for real. Like I told y'all yesterday, when we did the video, I told y'all Charlotte was for real. They don't be trifling with them. And you coming into the Hive and they rested. And they won 12 out of 15. They're gonna be ready, okay? And they were ready. So the lack of energy was showing itself in the second chance opportunities the Knicks were not getting, and Charlotte was, and the 50-50 balls that the Knicks were. The Knicks were diving on the floor yesterday, but they weren't getting the balls. That's because they didn't have the energy. It's very simple. It's not very complicated when you see that. And then when you see Karl Anthony Towns not getting the ball, it's because either most of the time Jalen Brunson is shooting too much, or he's not having the energy to get it. Like yesterday, they gave him the ball, right? He gets to the top of the key. He puts the ball between his legs. Just hold it down there. And Diabate takes it. That's energy. It's not just like, you say, why are you doing it? Because he don't have the energy, man. As simple as that. As simple as that. They will never say this to you. I am saying this to you as an analyst of the game. Because I'm not looking to excuse them or not excuse them. I'm looking for wins and how we get them and how we don't get them. Lack of energy is how we lose games. Okay? Now, there's no telling, really. They could have 2 days off and come out with lack of energy, or they could be in the second night of a back-to-back and come out and blow the doors off a team. It does happen like that. But usually you can kind of predict it. So here the Knicks have won 7 straight. They go into Charlotte for the first game of a tough 4-game road trip, the last road trip of the season. No Shamet, no Deuce. You can expect a little bit of a problem, okay? And so no energy, there you go. So they went at the half, it was 65-55. Then Charlotte pulled away a little bit in the third. The Knicks tried to make a run in the fourth, and it just wasn't there. It just wasn't there, okay? It just wasn't. So they end up losing the game by 11. Is what it is. We move on. Hopefully they'll have some better energy in Oklahoma City. So today is Friday. They got to go away out to Oklahoma. They might do it today or they might do it tonight, and then have a day in Oklahoma where they can hopefully recover from the jet lag and then come back on Sunday. Addition of a Landry Shamet to your Jordan Clarkson. By the way, Jordan Clarkson was playing well yesterday. The refs wouldn't let him play. They kept calling. It's amazing. Like it's not that the refs it's not that they're not going to make mistakes. Well, we were saying this yesterday. It's not that they're not going to make mistakes. The refs are going to make mistakes. But you cannot have the Charlotte Hornets with 20 free throws and the New York Knicks with 9. Okay? That's what I'm talking about. And part of those 20 free throws was Jordan Clarkson had 4, and he was trying his best. He was doing a good job of guarding whoever they had him on, but the refs were being real funny with him, calling touch fouls on him versus not calling them, say, on, Diabate. Okay? Letting him be aggressive. So that's the inequity that also causes a problem for our boys. So you can't have them take 20 free throws and we only take 9 and call that a fairly ref game. I'm sorry. This is the league, man. So the Knicks only had last night 20. They had 26 assists, which is not bad. But when you combine that with only 24 rebounds, you ain't gonna win. You just ain't going to win in that. Especially with, like I said, you got a Diabate on the other side bringing all that energy. Then you got guys, Canupa had 11 boards. They was all ganging on the board. When the ball went up, you saw all Charlotte jerseys around the basket. You didn't hardly see, except when Mitch Rob was in there. And he was always battling 3 or 4 Charlotte Hornets. They just wasn't gang rebounding the basketball. And the Knicks do that, except when they don't have any energy, which is what happened last night. So anyway, is what it is. They did the best they could. And again, when you start to see, I told y'all we might see Tyler Kolek. We did for 6 minutes. And I'm not saying he did a bad job, but the sign, it's a sign when you see him in the game. It's like they don't have anybody else. They're trying to spark something. And if he can't do it, we in trouble. So last night, they really had Diawara, Mitchell Robinson, and Clarkson. They really went with 8. Because that's really all they had that could ball yesterday. Alvarado wasn't effective. Let's put it that way. And he can't. It's not like homie gonna be doing his thing every game. It is what it is. So he came off and didn't have the energy. They brought Tyler Kolek in to do the best that he could, and no, he couldn't do it. You really did need a Shamit or a Deuce out there, but you wasn't gonna have that. So you did the best you could, what you got, and that's when Brunson, being the head of the snake, he senses when he knows the pulse of his team. So when his team does not have the energy, he defaults to, I got to win this game for us. It's not a selfish, I just want to be the high scorer type of thing. It's, I want to win this game for us, so I'm going to do my best to beat everybody and win this game. Usually doesn't work, which it didn't last night. But Brunson played 40 minutes yesterday, see? Because he really was the only one that could score yesterday. I mean, OG was too. OG, like I said, OG was on point yesterday. OG was -1. That was the best plus minus we had aside from Mitchell Rob, who was +8. So those two were trying to bring it, but it's not enough against a team like Charlotte that's really hot right now, really, reaching a peak right now. We also doing it, but you got to understand, last night was a low energy game for us. So you're going to get that sometimes. Hopefully we get better energy Sunday when we get back Shamit and we got to really, all of our guys get a little rest, recovery. They're pro athletes, recover, come ready to play. And they don't have to play. I think they play Sunday night, if I'm not mistaken. The game is Sunday night. So they got time to rest and recover. It's Oklahoma City's the middle of freaking nowhere. Like, damn. So we come from New York City and you got to go out to Oklahoma and play the top team in the West. That's going to be tough. But yeah, 7:30 on Sunday. So you got time. You go out there maybe tonight. You rest tomorrow and recover. You go through your plays. You go through your walkthrough tomorrow. You already who's going to play. Because you just want to make sure Shamit's ready. And he's going to be ready. Clarkson's still going to ball. You're going to get Clarkson, as I told you before. Alvarado will probably be less used, and you won't even see Tyler Kolek once Deuce comes back. But you're going to have Jordan Clarkson, Shamit, and Deuce are going to be your 3 guards. And then you're going to have Mitchell Robinson. Now, Mitchell Robinson played well. And again, the way they manage Mitch Rob in terms of not playing on back-to-backs, in terms of resting him every once in a while, is paying off. Because yesterday, he came with energy. He was the only one that came with energy aside from OG. Okay, and they were different. So not everybody is going to be off, but Cat didn't have the energy. Hart didn't have the energy. They were all lacking. Macau was looked like a little bit of energy. You could tell. It's just, and you could also tell when they're missing shots they normally hit. Brunson, when he misses shots that, like in other games, are automatic, his favorite spot of the floor is the right side elbow from the three-point line. He'll hit that with people on him. He'll hit that regardless. He was missing that shot yesterday. That's when I knew he was in trouble. I said, oh, shoot, he's missing that one. And then when he gets in the lane and misses floaters. Thing is, he's a gamer, so he's going to come at you. He, like I said, the thing about Brunson, he ain't going to stop coming at you. That's why he's who he is. But you could just see it. It was the lack of energy. I saw it from opening, really, but I was hoping sometimes they can get that second win and come back. So that's why I was, hoping for our boys to get that second win and come back. But Charlotte, and this is another sign. You see them close the lead, and then Charlotte go back up. Charlotte's up 13. Knicks close it to 8, Charlotte's back up 13. Knicks close it to 8, Charlotte's back up 15. Knicks close it to 7, Charlotte's back up 18. I mean, that's what was going on. That's telling you Charlotte's in control of this game. And the Knicks do it to other people a lot, but last night it was their turn to get. So anyway, on to the next one. Oklahoma City, tough game. We could beat them, okay? We match up well with them. Got to come with energy. Hopefully they have it Sunday. And like I'm saying, the way this is going, there's a good chance they should be in good shape in terms of energy level on Sunday. Oklahoma, you could bring your energy and they can still beat your ass because they're top team in the West. But hopefully, they're able to recover from, last night, get rest, get recuperation, get Shamet, and be ready. Now, I'm going to tell you right now, Tuesday at Houston, Deuce is going to want to play. I'm going to tell you right now. He wants to play Sunday. I'm telling you. It's up again. But the medical staff, the coach, they're going to have to make this decision. The medical staff and the coach together with Deuce make this decision. You ask Deuce, I'm ready. You heard Deuce, I'm playing. He said that when he first hurt his ankle, remember? I'm playing. He wants to play. So we'll see what the coach and the medical staff come up with on Sunday. He wants to play Sunday. I don't even got to guess. I know he does. But let's see. And then, of course, Tuesday come. He definitely chomping at the bit. So I can guarantee you, unless there's a setback, and I don't think they will be, but he plays against Memphis on April 1st. He does. The only question is, does he play before that? That's really the only question. And we could use him. So there's no doubt about that. So I'm going to tell you, some of y'all ain't going to like it, but 15 minutes of Deuce is better than 6 minutes of Coley. 15 minutes of Deuce is better than 10 minutes of Alvarado. I'm trying to tell you. But anyway, let's see what happens. Don't worry about it, y'all. We still on point. They still, yes, we're a game behind now. We, dropped the game behind the Celtics. That's all right. It's all right. We got to keep grinding. Look, 71 in their last 8. That's how you got to look at it. The Knicks, and 7-3 in their last 10. Okay, let's go. Next, talk to y'all soon. Enjoy your Friday. Be safe out there. Enjoy your weekend. So.